Hello, dear viewers. Good evening. Welcome to a new edition of the Daily Debate. Much is on hand tonight, including the kicking off of the second phase of the parliamentary elections in Egypt. And of course, the Egyptian-Russian cooperation in nuclear energy, the Daba nuclear power plant, and the visit by His Excellency, the South Korean President, to Egypt, who was received by His Excellency President Sisi today. Three main topics are on hand, and with us in the studio is Dr. Mohamed Ezzaby, Professor of International Relations. Dr. Ezzaby, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. I'm very happy to be with you.
Thank you, Dr. Ezzaby, very much. Allow me, sir, please, and allow the viewers first to start by updating you on the latest regarding the parliamentary elections, as Egypt's second phase of the parliamentary elections 2025 kicks off for Egyptian expats in less than an hour's time. At 10 p.m. Cairo local time, 9 p.m. New Zealand time, the expat vote will begin for the second phase, which includes 13 governorates. And such elections reflect the strength of Egypt's institutions and mark an unprecedented political momentum through the broad participation of all segments of the Egyptian people. With us now live is Nile TV International's correspondent Ahmed Nader from the headquarters of the National Electoral Committee, the NEA, to update us on the latest. Good evening, Ahmed. Thank you very much for joining us. Please tell me about the preparations for the start of the second phase of the parliamentary elections, Ahmed.
Hello, Mohammed. Of course, as you mentioned, I'm at the headquarters of the National Elections Authority at the end of the street of Al-Qasr Al-Aini near Tahrir Square, the historic Tahrir Square. And as you mentioned, there are preparations underway for the second phase for the Egyptian expatriates to be held for the parliamentary elections in 13 different governorates. This is the second phase, as we did see in the first phase. Maybe 10 days ago, maybe a week ago, the first phase took place in more than 117 countries for the Egyptian expatriates, more than 139 Egyptian diplomatic missions, including consulates and embassies all over the world, for the Egyptian expatriates to be getting the vote, to be participating in the parliamentary elections and the elections for the House of Representatives. Mohammed, let me tell you more about what happened today, especially after the developments that took place over the past week and the results that were announced by the National Elections Authority from Maspiro, from the Egyptian Media Authority, National Media Authority last week. Today we have seen a response to what happened in terms of violations, in terms of irregularities, as we did see Councillor Ahmed Binderi, the head of the Executive Committee of the National Election Authority, stating today that the violations and the irregularities that took place in the past phase for the parliamentary elections, including 14 different governorates, would not be happening once again, according to the statements, according to the directives, and what His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stated in the past week ahead of the announcement of the results of the first phase of the parliamentary elections, that these irregularities, that those violations would not be happening once again, according to the statements of Councillor Binderi, because a press conference took place earlier on today, and we are expecting to be seeing a response, an immediate response to what happened in the first phase, because some results were cancelled, some results in 19 different constituencies all over the 14 governorates that took place in the first phase of the parliamentary elections were annulled. It will be repeated once again in the month of December. So we will be seeing how things will be changing this time around, according to the statements of Councillor Binderi, that the main mission of the National Election Authority is to be giving an opportunity for the Egyptian expatriates, for the Egyptian citizens living within Egypt on Tuesday and Monday, for the 13 remaining governorates, to be casting their ballots, casting their votes freely with no influence whatsoever from anyone or from any means, because we have seen another statement today by Councillor Benderi regarding the political money and how some businessmen who are affiliated with different political parties, they want to help, they want to serve their parties, they want to be winning as many seats as possible in the upcoming elections. By what happened, according to what happened in the past week or in the past phase of the parliamentary elections, the political parties will be delivering financial statements at least 48 hours before the parliamentary elections take place on Monday and Tuesday. Mohammed.
All right, Ahmed, we'll be talking to you a little bit later after the press conference, which is to be held at 10 p.m. In Cairo by the Executive Director of the NEA, Councillor Ahmed Al-Benderi. Please don't go far. Thank you very much, Ahmed Nader, Nile TV International's correspondent, talking to us from the headquarters of the NEA at Al-Qasr Al-Aini in downtown Cairo. And as Ahmed said, the results of the first phase saw the annulment of 19 constituencies. The elections in those 19 constituencies for the individual list candidates will be those elections will be held once again in the first 4 days of December, 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, the expat and the home vote, and the promises from the Executive Director of the NEA that the violations that took place in the first phase will not be repeated in the second phase, which includes 13 governorates, including the capital, Cairo, of course, in that second phase. And again, elections will start for the second phase in 36 minutes now, when it hits 9 p.m. in New Zealand. Egyptian expats will be voting in 117 countries, 136 major polling centers in 117 countries for the second phase of the election, which includes 13 governorates. We are still with Dr. Mohamed Ezzaby, the Professor of International Relations, who's with us here in the studio. Bear patience with us, Dr. Ezzaby, please, and dear viewers. We will watch a report first, again, about the elections, the first phase and what's expected in the second phase, and then we'll come back and talk with Dr. Ezzaby about the Egyptian-Russian cooperation in nuclear energy and Dab'a nuclear power plant and the visit of His Excellency the South Korean President to Cairo. Please stay with us.
Egypt is witnessing the elections for the House of Representatives, one of the most important electoral entitlements. The second phase begins with Egyptians abroad casting their votes on Friday and Saturday amid extensive preparations by the National Election Authority, which opened consulates and embassies in more than 120 countries and facilitated voting procedures for citizens. The authority also enables voters to update their information and view candidates electronically, allowing Egyptians abroad to learn about their representatives. Egyptians living abroad are the true image and ambassadors of Egypt. Their presence in front of Egyptian embassies worldwide sends a strong message that Egypt is conducting a parliamentary election that reflects the will of its people and its national identity. Their participation demonstrates their deep sense of belonging to their homeland and their commitment to contributing to the political decision-making process. Today, the House of Representatives is the primary legislative authority in the country, responsible for approving laws, discussing public policy, development plans and the state budget, and exercising oversight over the government's performance. These elections, therefore, reflect the strength of Egypt's institutions and mark an unprecedented political momentum through the broad participation of all segments of the Egyptian people. Voters' presence at the ballot boxes sends a clear message to the world about Egypt's stability and the free exercise of constitutional rights. It also highlights the awareness of Egyptians and their keenness to choose their representatives, shape the futures of the coming stage, and consolidate the foundations of democracy and stability. Participation in the elections is not only a constitutional right, but also a national duty, an expression of the Egyptian people's will to support the state's progress toward the new republic. Such widespread participation represents the people's genuine will to shape their future and select those they trust to represent and safeguard their interests, understanding that abstaining from voting does not serve national stability. This democratic celebration through large-scale participation is the strongest guarantee of the integrity of the electoral process and the best response to those who question its transparency, especially as the National Election Authority supervises all stages of the elections with full independence and impartiality. The massive voter turnout of the first phase also reflects the positivity and responsibility of citizens in choosing their representatives in legislation and oversight, thereby contributing to Egypt's ongoing development journey. Egypt's management of this national process has adhered strictly to constitutional and legal standards that ensure fairness and equal opportunity among all candidates. Furthermore, the spirit of national consensus among different political parties and forces reflects a shared commitment to placing Egypt's interests above all else and demonstrates the spirit of cooperation that characterizes political life under the new republic established by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, a republic built on equality, justice and citizenship in modern Egypt, thanks to his leadership and efforts.
All right, that was the elections file here in the daily debate. Now moving on to the second segment, as we are still with Dr. Mohamed Ezzaby, Professor of International Relations. Dr. Ezzaby, dear viewers, second segment is where His Excellency President Sisi and President Putin of Russia participated via video conference in the ceremony of the historic event marking the installation of the reactor pressure vessel for the first nuclear unit at Ezzaby nuclear power plant, in addition to the signing of the nuclear fuel procurement order. This represents a pivotal step in the completion progress of the Ezzaby nuclear power plant project, and this event coincides with Egypt's celebrations again of the Egyptian-Russian relationship, which is seeing great progress, not just in the fields of energy, but in the fields of political coordination, economic coordination, and so on. The Ezzaby power plant and the Egyptian-Russian relations, Dr. Ezzaby, how do you see the significance of this power plant, the importance of this power plant for Egypt, and the relationship between Egypt and Russia?
We know after the visit of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to Russia and met His Excellency Vladimir Putin, start a new kind of relation, a new kind of cooperation between Egypt and Russia,
yes,
which led to this great project in Daba. It's a dream for Egypt to build a nuclear project for energy, which will give Egypt the facilities to export the electricity and the energy to Europe, to Africa, to every country in our area. This cooperation means that the relations between Egypt and Russia, we can say that it raised to the strategic cooperation between the two countries, especially the great relation between His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and the President Vladimir Putin. After President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi being a president of Egypt, we saw that the relation between Egypt and Russia have a great cooperation, especially in the military field and the nuclear field, and cooperation in the economy also. It led to this the dream of Egyptian people, the nuclear unit in Daba, and who led to improve our production of energy, and it will make energy more less price for Egyptian people after this project finished.
And again, before we move on to the visit of His Excellency the South Korean President, the balance, Dr. Ezzaby, that Egypt is playing in its international relations, I mean, your field of expertise, I mean, Egypt has great relations with the United States, with Russia, with China, with Europe, with its neighbors. So, I mean, talk about this balance.
Well, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, after being President of Egypt, took away to make relations with every country in the world, especially the great relations between Egypt and the European community. And we saw what happened during the visit of President Macron to Egypt, and the visit to Hussein and Khan al-Khalili, and what happened after this visit, who led Europe to confess with the Palestinian country after the great efforts from President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and Dr. Badr Abdel Ati.
And President Sisi's visit to Brussels, of course,
yes,
very recently.
We saw the relations between Egypt and many countries of Africa, and how Egypt make a cooperation between Egypt and the most African countries, and the great project with the railway line Cairo-Cape Town, and that's a kind of relation. Also the relations between Egypt and Asian countries, China, South Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, a kind of balance. No one can do this like His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. Also the relations between Egypt and the United States. It's a kind of variety for relations between Egypt and all over the world countries. And we saw what Vladimir Putin said about President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi when, Donald Trump, when he came to Sharm el-Sheikh, and what he said about President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. We saw Steve Witkoff, what he said to about His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, also when he met them, and the minister Hassan Rashad, and after the negotiations between Hamas and Israel. All these steps lead that Egypt, we can say that Egypt being a gate for any decision for the area of the Middle East and Africa.
Absolutely. This is the weight of Egypt, the strength of Egypt. Now, moving on to our third segment, and President el-Sisi earlier Thursday received South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung for high-level talks aimed at strengthening the fast-growing relations between Egypt and South Korea. The two leaders discussed expanding cooperation in industry, technology, renewable energy, defense production, and infrastructure, building on decades of friendship and Korea's rising role as a strategic investor in Egypt. The summit at Al-Ittihadiyya Palace also reviewed regional developments and avenues for deeper political coordination between Cairo and Seoul, as both countries reaffirmed their commitment to stability, development and future-focused collaboration. And we here are going to talk about the Egyptian-South Korean relations with our dear guest, Dr. Ezzaby, the professor of international relations. So, Dr. Ezzaby, how would you characterize the strategic trajectory of the Egyptian-South Korean relationship?
Before we speak about this, we must know the historical background for the relations between Egypt and South Korea.
Please.
Which starts from 13th of April 1995. But after that, we know in the last years a great development in the relations after the visit of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to South Korea in 2016, which raised the relation between Egypt and South Korea to a cooperation in relation.
Yes.
Especially in 2025, the two countries, we can say that they celebrate with the memory, the 13th memory for the relations between the two countries, especially that South Korea consider Egypt as a gate for South Korea, for Africa and the Middle East. South Korea consider Egypt, as I said, as a gate, especially by the position of Egypt in Africa and Suez Canal. We know that South Korea have a great experience in technology, especially that we can say that South Korea make a miracle in the River of Han, and how they made the River of Han. About the economy and investment between Egypt and Korea, we can say that the exchangeable trading exchange between the two countries about $1.6 billion in 2024. But in the first months of 2025, it being to about 1.2, and now Egypt want to raise this trade exchange between Egypt and Korea to $2 billion, especially that Egypt needs the technology from Korea, and this negotiations between His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and the President of South Korea on how to transfer the technology to Egypt, how to make factories for technology in Egypt, especially many Korean factories, especially in the field of cell phones, being now in Egypt and start to work in Egypt in Bani Suef. So the investment, the Korean investment this year raised to $413.8 million in this year. Last year there was 288. It raised to double, about double amount. So the negotiations between the two presidents focused on how to transfer the technology of South Korea to Egypt, and how to make a cooperation in economy between Egypt and South Korea.
Yes. We understand that this is this visit will be a 3-day visit for the South Korean president. He talked about his country's willingness to cooperate with Egypt in the field of tourism, especially after the opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum gem. So there is a...
And car, also how manufacturers of cars will be transferred to Egypt.
Well, South Korean cars are in Egypt for decades now.
Also the military cooperation. The military cooperation between Egypt and Korea. $1.66 billion. South Korea gave Egypt K9 Thunder from Hanwha company. But President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, in every negotiations with Korea, with any country, insist that to transfer the technology of manufacturing to Egypt. In these negotiations and the agreements which signed between the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the President of Korea have a condition to transfer the manufacturing to Egypt. Egypt to manufacture anything and export this to any other country. It's a very great idea from His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to transfer the technology of manufacturing to Egypt. We saw this in trains. We saw this in everything that Egypt make a deal with any country, so that especially that South Korea have a great technology. So any agreement will be signed with between His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the President of South Korea includes how to transfer the manufacturing technology to Egypt, and it's a great benefit for Egypt.
And of course there was a historic speech for the South Korean President at Cairo University where he hailed Egypt's role in reaching the Gaza ceasefire, and he said that his country will be offering $10 million of support for the Egyptian Red Crescent efforts in Gaza, and that also South Korea will support in the reconstruction of Gaza. So this is a file that includes political cooperation, economic cooperation, and we're seeing also a deepening of the cultural ties between Cairo and Seoul.
We can say that these negotiations discussed many things, many fields, especially in the field of economic, as you said, economic cooperation. They discussed how to invest in AI in Egypt, how to transfer the technology of AI from South Korea to Egypt. We can say it's a very great idea to transfer this technology. Egypt needs the technology, Egypt needs many things from South Korea, and South Korea need Egypt, as I said in the beginning, that South Korea consider Egypt as a gate for Middle East and Africa. So the cooperation depends here about that both countries need each other.
Yes.
Not a country give to another country anything.
A win-win.
Win-win. We can say it is a win-win
situation. Yes.
About the field, a political field, we know that Egypt prepared for a great conference for reconstruction in Gaza. South Korea announced that we will share in this conference. We will share in reconstruction of Gaza. So it's a great success for Egypt. Again, every day Egypt have a great success in a new field. So I think that in the next year we will see a great Egypt, like President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said in his first day to be a president of Egypt. مصر قد الدنيا and هتبقى قد الدنيا.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohamed Ezzaby, Professor of International Relations. It's been a great pleasure having you with us here in the studio. And thank you, dear viewers, for watching tonight's edition of the Daily Debate. We talked about the second phase of parliamentary elections in Egypt, which will kick off in 13 minutes' time exactly, the expat vote to start in New Zealand. We talked about the Egyptian-Russian cooperation in nuclear energy, the Dab'a power plant, nuclear power plant, and other areas of cooperation, and of course the visit of His Excellency the South Korean President to Cairo and the Egyptian-South Korean relationship, which are now being transferred to a strategic relationship, a win-win situation, as Dr. Ezzaby mentioned, and cooperation in all domains. Dear viewers, please stay with Nile TV. At 10 p.m. here in Cairo, we'll be bringing you the press conference, which will be held at the headquarters of the National Elections Authority by its executive director to announce the launching and the start of the second phase of the parliamentary elections here in Egypt, which will include 13 governorates, including the capital, Cairo. Please stay with Nile TV.